And we are live. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Radio. I'm your host of the Barber Shop, Dr. Christopher Salute. Cece, I went back and I got a water and I got a club soda and I forgot a watch. Like, how am I going to do a show without a watch? I wonder if I have. I have a spare watch. I have a spare watch that I was going to put on Poshmark, and I'll just put it on while we're doing the show. Cece, I feel like if y'all don't know who I'm talking to, Cece's in the background putting together everything that you see. She runs this network. She is a dream. She's a doll. If I were 20 years older, I would ask her to the prom. If she were 20 years younger, I would hope she would say yes. She runs the ones and twos, and she's a producer of our show. So I have not been on the show for so long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the show with everyone because I feel like it's been a minute. Like, it's definitely been a minute, So we're going to share the show. Then what we're going to do. We're going to go live on Instagram, and we're going to go live on what else we're going to go? We're going to go live on TikTok, and we're going to go live in a couple different places and kind of see where we're at. I'm sharing it to a couple of the groups that I'm still in that haven't kicked me out yet. And we'll kind of see where that goes, So today's show is a good show. I hope it's a good show. I want to talk to you a little bit about what's going on with me. I want to talk to you a little bit about what's going on in life. I want to talk to you a little bit about what's happening with just everything, And here we're going to say, watch me live. And we're going to really focus on men's mental health. I think that's super important. And I think that, I think it's something we should really discuss. So I'm going to go live on TikTok right now. I got to introduce what's happening. I'm getting some notifications on TikTok, but I don't even remember how we went live. I haven't been live in so long. Here we go, live. I'm going to place that here. Got the mic ready to roll. And you know what? And now we're live. Or we're live in 3, 2, 1. What's up, TikTok? We're going live on the air with Going Solo Network. We're going to be on TikTok for about 10 minutes. We're going to then be on Instagram for about 10 minutes. And if you want to, if you're just checking us out on TikTok or you're just checking us out on Instagram, you can totally tune in to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Radio. My links are all in my Shorby. They're all up on Facebook. Just Google WGSN-DB on Facebook, or search, right? Search WGSN-DB on Facebook. You'll see it. It's dope. Now that we've gotten it takes me, what does it take me? 4 minutes to promote the show. And then finally we can get into like the meat of what's going on. So tonight we're going to talk a bit about men's mental health post-pandemic. Now I want to be clear about who I am in this particular scenario. You may know me as Dr. Christopher Salute. Absolutely. Am I a psychology practitioner? Absolutely. Am I a clinical psychologist? No, not a clinical psychologist. So when I talk about men's mental health, I'm coming to you from the personality trait standpoint. I'm coming to you as a man. I'm coming to you as a human being. I am not coming to you as a clinical therapist at all. In fact, my dear, amazing life coach friend, another human being I would marry in a heartbeat if we were romantic. She is a clinician, and I thought about having her on the show, and I think maybe one day we will have her on the show. But we've done a good job of keeping the show man-centric, meaning we only bring folks who identify as men onto the Barber Shop Show. Now, I don't know. Is that necessarily what we want to do? I don't know. I think going forward, maybe we'll change a few things, but I want to talk a bit about why we specifically bring men onto the radio show, okay? And it stems from men speaking far fewer words. Now, again, if this is your first time listening to my show, right? When I say man, woman, female, male, I am talking about your typical gender norms, right? I know that we've got a lot of gender fluidity now in 2021. I know there's a lot going on in the way we label and don't label men and women, but the the typical stereotypical male man does not speak. I think they speak 1/3 of the words that women speak daily. They are not sharers, right? And the whole reason that we started the barbershop, right? The whole reason we started the barbershop was because I found myself at a barbershop, right? Speaking to men and going, what the heck? This is like better than therapy, right? This is men talking about men, helping each other out. Not your chauvinistic, toxic crap, right? We'll get into that, right? But men helping each other out. And I thought that was very interesting. So that's why we typically tend to have men on the show, and eventually we'll have some women on the show as well. But today I want to talk about men's mental health post the pandemic. Patterns, behaviors, things that we get into that maybe we shouldn't, things that we get into that we should, right? Now, is some of this applicable to women? Absolutely, right? I'm a human being first, right? And then there are my other nomenclatures, right? But I'm going to specifically talk to men. Now, as I start every show, right, I'm going to talk about what's going on with me. A lot going on professionally, a lot going on personally. You'll note that I've been a little bit more outgoing, a little bit more, what's the word? Out about, my kind of internet cancellation a couple of years ago. Why now? It's come to a point where it started to impact literally every aspect of my life. Did I deserve that cancellation? No. And I'm going to say no. Okay. I was a jerk. I got into some patterns. I got into some behaviors I shouldn't have. We're going to talk about patterns and behaviors today. But it was without a doubt a witch hunt. So I've talked a little bit more about that recently. It's something that is near and dear to me. You're going to hear a lot more about that going forward because the true story needs to be told. Personally, still kind of doing my thing. I'm not sure where I want to go. I know that I want my person. I don't know. I don't know where that person is. Thought maybe I found them. Turned out to be a false prophet. So we're going to keep going. We're going to keep moving forward. What's going on with the network? Cece and I just got off the phone. We're gonna have some surprises for you soon. I am building a lineup of all male or all man folks who identify as men radio hosts for you. Why? As single men, as men in relationships, as men in general, we're not talking enough. I just finished my relationship coach certification and my dating coach certifications, and only 1/3 of those folks are male or identify as men, which I thought was very interesting. I thought that was something that, certainly sets me apart, but not a good thing. There should be a better split. Why? Because we don't talk. We're not good at those types of things. And when men identify as somebody who needs help, or when men come to the table and say, I want to talk about something, they're typically seen as weak. They're typically seen as, whatever, or worse. Unfortunately, in today's day and age, are they seen as like advocating for men, or when they shouldn't be? I don't really know what the answer is, but I think it's time for us to put away chauvinism, to put away toxicity, and get to the root of mental health. And I think that's super important. As usual, I like to say a little, not say a little prayer, but just take a moment of silence if you have somebody special in your life. I'm not pushing my religion on you. I happen to be a Christian, but if you are in any way connected to the rest of the universe, if you are in any way spiritual, just take a minute, take a second. Think about that person, think about yourself, think about the things that you want to manifest in your life. You can't tell me there's not something in your life that you don't want to manifest. This actually started as a routine. I did it for an ex who was going through some stuff, and I found out that person was saying some mean things. So we don't pray for that person publicly. We pray for them in private, make sure that they get all the things that they need. But in public, we pray for somebody else. Pray for yourself, pray for a family member. Take a moment of silence, do your thing. Okay, cool. And as I'm staring into I call these my Bill Gates glasses. Somebody else called them, feel free to comment on if you remember, did the Unabomber wear these or something like that? It was like somebody bad wore these glasses. I was trying to go retro. I didn't realize that's what I was doing. Okay. we've all got our hangups. Okay, I'm not saying I'm at that level, but geez. So let's get into the beef of the show. What are we talking about today? We're talking about men's mental health post the pandemic. Why is it relevant? Well, it's relevant for a couple of reasons. Okay, it's relevant because as we are getting out of this pandemic, and to be honest, are we coming back into the pandemic? I don't know. Cece, I don't know. How are things in Florida? In Vegas, things are a little scary. We're hitting that Delta variant pretty hard. Vegas is an interesting town, though. You're not going to stop Vegas from partying. I'm not really a partier. As you can see, I pour my club soda when I do my show, and that's typically what I do. I was out the other night, and there was a woman out with me, and I said, "Can I get you a drink?" And she said, "No, I'm all set. Let me get you a drink." I said, "Let me just get a club soda with lime." And it was almost as though she felt that maybe I was patronizing her, like I didn't want her to spend money on a drink. No, that wasn't the case. I specifically order a club soda when I'm out because I'm going to have a good time. Like, there are so many things that I can do without drinking. Like, I'm obnoxious anyway. I don't need to be more out there. Like, I don't need to have a bigger energy, right, from drinking. These are the things that I love to do. Okay. I love affection from a special someone. I love buffets. I love watching a good movie. I don't need to drink to do any of those things. I like to dance like an idiot. I'm like white AF, as they say, right? And I will dance like all night. I don't need to be drunk. I'll karaoke too. Strong John Denver, glasses drive. Thank you. Is John Denver, is he good or bad, Mana? Would he be a Jedi or a Sith? I don't know. And you know what? I shouldn't even say that because the Sith are just misunderstood Jedi, right? As you can see, my Sith tattoo. So, Vegas is going to continue to party. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but as we're getting out of this pandemic, right? What does it look like for men specifically? What kind of patterns are they getting into? What's going on? Well, the reason that I bring it up is not just because I think it's time to talk about men's mental health. I mean, I do, right? It is time to talk about men's mental health for sure. But I also think it's time to talk, and I'm not like pioneering, like we've done this before, still pay for a club soda. I mean, not a bad thing to not drink. I appreciate that. I love club soda. I mean, I love soda too, like diet soda. I don't love sugar, but I recently found out that my heart rate was like double what it should be. So I'm gonna chill out on the soda, chill out on the coffee and the caffeine. But it's important, I think, because we've been isolated for so long, and I think that there's this stigma of late, and I'm not saying it's not a stigma, and I'm not saying that it's not right, like accurate. There's the thing, right, where men are these F-boys, right, where all they want to do is Netflix and chill. Well, first of all, I'm gonna bust that right now. I hate that. Have I done it? Yes, I've gotten to a point in my life where I've gone on dates and I've been exhausted, and I've said to that person, "Hey, I'll cook for you. I'll order dinner. Do you want to come over and play a board game? Do you want to watch a movie?" I mean, I've had Monopoly dates. Like, I've had arts and craft dates, even on a first date. To me, the physical intimacy is something that I shy away from on that first or second date because of that stigma, right? And because, to be quite honest, I'm not trying to do that with somebody that I don't know that well, right? I mean, if we were pen pals for a year or something like that, then sure, okay, maybe, but I don't need to sleep with someone tomorrow. I've had enough intimacy in my life, and to be quite honest, the people that I want to sleep with or the person that I want to sleep with, I kind of want it to be like one of my last. I'm tired. I want I want to find my person. But I think that men kind of got used to this, stay inside, get into these patterns. They're not venturing out. I think that, and to be quite honest, they're not talking about what's been happening post-pandemic, and they're going to get into these patterns and these addictions, right? I think it's super important to discuss that. One thing that I really love to disclose. So I have been coaching for some time here and there, but I really want to focus on it now. And I've taken on a couple of clients. I'm now a certified life coach, relationship coach, and dating coach. Me. Relationship coach. No, believe it or not, do as I say, not what I do. And And to be quite honest, I'm looking for a specific person. But when I take on a new client, I feel, and I don't know if this is the right thing to do, to be quite honest, but I feel that I need to disclose a certain level of vulnerability with that client. So one of the first things I do is I say, hey, we all have addictions. These are my addictions. What are your addictions, right? And then we talk about what our addictions are, what our behaviors are, what our patterns are, and we kind of move on through those things, right? And so it's super valuable, I think, to talk about the addictions and the mental health and the patterns that men kind of get into. And I think post-COVID, to be quite honest, I mean, I've seen myself fall into this trap. I'm out of it. But we can get into a pattern, get into a cycle of really demonstrative behavior that can really hurt you and can hurt other people. We're still in a country and we're still on a planet where, unfortunately, men do have a lot of power. And you don't realize the power that you yield and what you can do, you know? Hey, bestie, just dropping in to tell you you're awesome and always inspiration. Oh my God, you are the sweetest. Well, on that note, that was incredible. I love you. You're amazing, Andy. I am going to cross out our TikTok live, and what I'm going to do is go on Instagram live. So if you were on TikTok live, what up? Thanks for coming on. You can actually check us out on WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. That's on Facebook. You can hit me right on our right on my Shorby, right on my profile, and I'll see y'all in a little bit if you want to catch the rest of the show. But thanks for tuning in. Y'all are great, and feel free to comment. And now, cool. All right, cool. So now, real quick, we're just gonna head on over to, look at these people. So many people. It's great. We're going to head into Instagram and we're going to do the same thing, right? So we're going to, killing me here. Okay, hold on. Let's do this. Let's go live. All right, and we're doing the same thing. Okay, so actually, you know what we should do, Cece? I think what we're going to do, because we're almost, would you say men, hold on. Would you see men, or you, I guess, from your example, are wanting more monogamy versus singleness because of COVID? Dating get more restrictive, so now we just want one person type thing. Oh my God, Sarah, that's an incredible question. So you know what we're gonna do, Cece? Let's answer that question. Then we'll take our break, and then we'll go live on Instagram. I think that's what we'll do. So we'll start the next 20 minutes live on Instagram, I think is the answer. That is a beautiful question. So what we're gonna do is answer that question, Sarah. I think that it's a complex question. I think we saw a lot of monogamous relationships start during COVID, and I think we saw a lot of monogamous relationships end during COVID. Why? A lot of folks were stuck with each other. I remember specifically, I had a relationship that I was kind of stuck in, not stuck in, we were actually restarting it, who knows, it was toxic. And she stayed with me, and it was miserable, to be quite honest. Loved her. Was not ready for that level of entree. She came in with a lot of, and I literally mean baggage, like moved half of her stuff into my home for a month. There was no communication about that. I felt as though that was a lot for a month. I felt as though there were a lot of conflicts that weren't resolved during that month because we kind of had to stay there. And ultimately it broke us up. One of the few things that broke us up. There was also some abuse there. There was some toxicity there, and abuse on their end is what I think. But as a man, you can't say that, right? So I think that men and women both started to understand what a monogamous relationship looked like during COVID. But you know, you're putting yourself in a situation, in my opinion, that it's a forced monogamy, right? It's like 1940s monogamy. It's like biblical monogamy. You know what I mean? It's like signing up for that. And I don't know if I subscribe to that. Now, on the other side of that, I think that men have gotten to a point in society in 2021 where they're one of two things, okay? Number one is they're those F-boys, right? They are, I mean, they can, because they can, right? They have apps upon apps upon apps that they can just hook up and hook up and hook up. And I'll be honest, I mean, we talk about my addictions and my patterns. We're going to get into those after the break, but I did that too for a couple of years, and it's disgusting. It's gross. And women, unfortunately, and again, we're talking about hetero relationships here. I can't speak to non-hetero relationships because I haven't been in one, right? If I had an expert on the table here, then we can talk about it. But I know what I know, and I can speak a little bit about it. But you're not going to give me a credible response because it's not, I'm not in that relationship. But so, I think that women have allowed it, or unbeknownst to them. I don't know, because there's so many options out there. So some women are owning it and saying, I'm going to go out and get mine too. And that's fine. You know what I mean? Or great, although are they forced into that situation? I don't know. There's a million things, but a lot of women, it's happening without their, I don't want to say without their consent, but without their knowledge. Right. And so they're one of 10 women or 5 women or 3 women. And so men are just kind of playing. Here's what I think is going to happen. Quite frankly, yes, you can say that. Let's normalize men's experiences, please. I appreciate that, Elizabeth. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, that's what the show is all about. Here's what I think, and then we'll take a break. I think that we're going to be experiencing the roaring 20s right now. If I were a casino owner, I would be very, very happy in Vegas, because I think that what's going to happen is we're going to party for the next decade. I really do. And I don't know what that looks like for relationships. I truly don't. The divorce rate is higher than it's ever been. We throw around words like abuse and narcissism that I don't know are applicable to all relationships. I could say toxicity certainly is. I will say that we show filtered versions of ourselves, and then we meet that person, and that's not necessarily who that person is. I will honestly say that I have started to look really at myself and look for people who are non-filtered and who are just as beautiful without makeup. And that's really important to me, because I want to wake up to the same person that I fell asleep with. And there's nothing wrong with wearing makeup. It's your thing, but I would put other factors over whether you look good in the ombre filter or whatever, right? So anyway, we're running late on our break. Let's take a quick break, Cece. We're going to take a minute or two. If this is your first time watching, we take about a minute of silence, or I think Cece put some commercials in. This is so that we can get paid, or somebody gets paid, and we can have our show. This pays for all the bells and whistles that you've got. So you are watching WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network Radio. I'm your host, Dr. Christopher Salute. You are watching The Barber Shop, and we are discussing men's mental health post the pandemic. We'll be back in a second. And we're back. Cece, y'all got to let me know when y'all dropping those commercials. What's up? Welcome back to The Barber Shop. You're watching WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network Radio. I'm your host, Dr. Christopher Salute. We are talking about men's mental health post the pandemic. So I'm going to just hit live real quick on our Instagram. So we're going to do what we like to do. If you're just chiming into Instagram, we like to do about 10 minutes live on Instagram, about 10 minutes live on TikTok. And then if you want to watch, you come and watch, right? If you don't want to watch, go to hell. No, I'm just kidding. Go do your thing, right? Just going to wave to some folks here. Oh, thanks so much for joining. So you are checking out the first 10 minutes of the second part. God, that's a lot. First 10 minutes of the second part of our radio show, which is the Barber Shop. And tonight we're talking about men's mental health post the pandemic. So we started the first half. We took some questions. I'm so glad that y'all have been commenting. I really do appreciate that. Talked a little bit about why men's mental health is important. Not that it's more important than anybody else's mental health, but because it's not spoken about, right? Men have the stigma they had typically the stigma where they weren't able to talk about their mental health and certainly not able to talk about their mental health in a way that was positive. I'm certainly not going to compare it to the Black Lives Matter movement at all, but it's kind of like when folks say Black Lives Matter and somebody says, well, all lives matter. No, Black Lives Matter because we don't talk about it, right? Because they need extra attention, right? Men's mental health matters because men don't talk about it, right? Again, not drawing that comparison in any other parallel way, but just in the way that it's something that we don't talk about, right? So we should talk about it, right? So why is it important after COVID? Because of patterns. Because patterns, addiction, lots of other things that men experience that we don't chat about. So if this is your first time watching my show, what I typically like to do is pick a movie or two that will kind of amplify the point and give you some examples. Now, I couldn't really decide which show I was going to use or which movie I was going to use. Instagram, y'all have a view right now, man. You got a real nice view of my forehead. I'm trying to use that nioxin, man. I'm 36 years old. I'm trying to get to a point where I'm not losing my hair, but is it distinguished? I don't really know, So here are some movies and TV shows that I think are relevant to men's mental health. And you may not see it, right? But I'll explain why. So I just finished watching Sons of Anarchy for the second or third time. And this guy, Jax Teller, right? He journals in his journal like his father, John. Now, they were supposed to do a spinoff about John, which I would have loved to see. But in the first couple of seasons, you see John Teller journaling to his son, to his son, like my unborn son or my born son, here's some stuff that's going to help you in life, right? By the end of the show, you see Jax repeating that pattern. You see Jax journaling to himself, gosh, I don't know if I'm making the right decisions. I don't know if I'm doing the right things. I killed a man. I had an affair. I did these things, right? I'm afraid. One of my favorite lines from his journaling is his journaling. He says, I'm afraid, but I'm not afraid to do the things that I'm going to do. I'm afraid about doing them. I'm afraid of the things that I need to do to keep my motorcycle club, my family, all these things intact. I'm afraid of what I've done. I'm afraid of what I'm about to do, and I'm afraid of what I'm going to have to do. It's not a kind of fear that he talks about that is stops him from doing it. It's not like a fear of heights. Like I was at the Eiffel Tower in Vegas, and I've been to the real Eiffel Tower too. I was at the Eiffel Tower in Vegas, and did my knees buckle like on the elevator. But it's not that kind of fear. It's the kind of fear in which you're afraid of yourself. You're afraid of the power in which you have, and that's Jax Teller. And he journals to himself, but he doesn't talk about the things that are hurting him, that are making him afraid. And he's got all these men around him. And there are some snippets where you see him kiss a man on the cheek or the forehead or hug a man or say, I love you, brother. Now, look, are we going to talk about a motorcycle gang or a motorcycle club being the ideal men's group? No. But there are elements of that group in which I think are valuable, right? I mean, are we going to become gun runners and drug dealers and run escort services? No, that's not what we do. But when they're together discussing family and other things, it is refreshing to see at least them talking, right? So that's Sons of Anarchy. Another TV show that I've been watching lately, and about Sons of Anarchy and between Sons of Anarchy and Power, this other show, right? Power also is a show that discusses, in my opinion, men's mental health and patterns, negative patterns that men engage with because they don't talk about stuff, right? So in Power, he's like this drug dealer turned club owner, right? And he has an affair, then he's killing people, then he's making bad decisions for his family and these types of things. And one of the reasons, I mean, look, at some point you got to say this dude's toxic, right? This dude's making some bad decisions. And that's, I think, one of the problems with men in society. And part of it is warranted, that they don't want to take accountability. And I think the reason is, unfortunately, in today's atmosphere, right? Taking accountability might mean, a cancel culture type of reaction, right? So maybe that's part of it. But the other part of it is, look, he's got these things that are ailing him, and he's not talking to anybody. In this show specifically, I don't love his relationship with his wife at first. It gets a little better, but she basically tells him, bruh, be a drug dealer. Like, why are you doing that versus running this club that was really developed to like launder your money? And they kind of make her out to be a villain. And that, look, if you've stuck with me and I've been this like notorious drug cartel, and now, from the drug cartel to running a club, if you stuck with me that long, my opinion, that's not your reaction as my wife. You know what I mean? Like they wrote that role, in my opinion, a little bit too villainous. No partner who has gotten you this far, who has stuck with you, probably watched you kill people, probably watched you deal drugs, probably saw you go to prison. Nobody's going to say to you, keep doing this thing that hurts that potentially, hurt you, because it means more money for us and you're good at it. So I didn't like that, but it comes to a point where he doesn't feel like he can speak to his wife, and that sucks. You know what I mean? That's a situation that you don't want to be in. So why is that? Why is that important? Well, it's important because his confidant, right? The person that he wants to speak to is not there for him, right? And so it puts you as a man into this situation, at least him in this show Power, it puts him in this situation where the one person he wants to speak to, right, his wife, and then his best friend, who's also like, bro, you got to keep dealing drugs. Like, you can't be running this club. These are his people, and he can't speak to them. So he internalizes these things. And what does he do? Are they the right behaviors? No, he has an affair. He does murder, right? And so it's not good. Like, it's not cool, right? The third movie I want to hit on, and then we'll move into some patterns, some statistics, that kind of stuff, is Good Will Hunting. I think Good Will Hunting is an extraordinary old movie. By the way, like, if you didn't think I was old, bro, I'm 36. Like, I'm going to be 37 this year. Like, people are like, oh, that old movie. I'm like, like people are like, oh, The Mighty Ducks. That was a movie for, shut up. Okay. It was a movie. It was 3 movies. The third one was that. Good Will Hunting's from like 1996, I think. Starring Matt Damon. It was one of his first movies. He was in a couple before that, but him and Ben Affleck wrote it, right? And Matt Damon is this genius, right? He's this brilliant dude. It's so funny. I was dating someone years ago, and she said to me, if you could be any movie character, who would you be? And I said, Good Will Hunting. And she goes, any movie character, like Batman, Iron Man, who would you be? And I was like, oh, yeah. No, Good Will Hunting. He's a genius. He's smart, and he's like a simple dude. He likes to go hit balls to the batting cages, and he likes to like go drink a beer. Well, for him, because he's from Boston, he'd be drinking a beer, right? He'd be drinking a beer and then going to the cages, right? But he's just a simple dude. And so it's about this guy, and this guy's facing some serious stuff. He's got to go to therapy. He's been traumatized in his life. He was in various foster care situations, various adoption situations. He was abused. He was triggered. He was traumatized. And now he's got to face all these things so that he stops committing crimes. Misdemeanors, mostly, I think. I'm not that familiar with the law, so, I don't know. But as he goes through these things, we Miss Timmery, we have to work on your accent. I think my accent's pretty darn awesome. I think if I packed the car near your house and you heard my Boston accent in person, you wouldn't think that. I'm sorry, it's terrible. But as he confronts these things, he also starts to date this woman, Minnie Driver, and she wants to love on him. She's ready for love, and he sure thinks he is, but man, he's got some demons. He's got some things he's got to figure out. And it hurts, it hurts him to go through these things, and he doesn't know who to talk to. And he's got these boys that he talks to, but are they willing to listen? And at some points they are. And he learns that. He learns his best friend, Ben Affleck, is ready to listen to him and ready to say, but also to push him in the right direction and be like, bro, like, you got to do your thing, right? So those are the 3 movies and shows: Sons of Anarchy, Power, and Good Will Hunting. At this point, I'm going to end our live on Instagram. If you're watching on Instagram, I appreciate you so much. Come on to WGSN. It's right on my Shoreby, or you can check it out on Facebook, WGSN Going Solo Network, and we'll catch you in a little bit. This is the Barber Shop, and I'll see y'all soon. Bye. Cool. And, we want to share this, right? No, we want to download it. We want to share it. Oh, you know what? We'll share it later. That's fine. So thank God they're all gone, right? Now it's just you and me. So those are the 3 movies. So here's what I want to talk about. Now that we know the movies, now that we know everything that's been going on, I want to talk a little bit about real life. One of the things, as I mentioned, when I start coaching a new client, okay, I say to them, hey, Brad, Tammy, whatever. My name's Christopher Salute. These are my addictions. What are your addictions? What are your behaviors? What are your patterns? What are your cycles that you get into? It's important that you know what they are. Now, I'll disclose right now. 36, been in my 30s for a good couple of years now. It took me a long time to figure out what my addictions were. It's going to be the title of one of my books. Carbohydrates, sugar. Oh, man. Do I love me some sugar? Yo, I will eat sugar. Yo, I will literally be like, all right, I'm starting my low carb diet today. And then I will habitually go get an ice cream. Like, you don't even, I'm like getting in the car, I'm like, boop, boop, driving. I'm like, where am I going? I don't even know. And then all of a sudden, like, I'm just eating ice cream. Like, I'm just eating ice cream. Love it. Now, that's not a terrible addiction to have. I'm also a binger. So I binge. And so binging sugar to that extent puts my body in a situation that it shouldn't be in. I've been keto for years on and off. I've been paleo for years on and off. I'm thinking about maybe going vegan a little bit more, well, not vegan because I love cheese. Maybe a little bit more vegetable based. And so I can really monitor my sugars and that kind of stuff. Cause I'm going to have diabetes. Like I eat sugar all the time. I love it. My second addiction, and I'm upfront about it, is affection. 100%. At some point I thought maybe it was physical intimacy, and it's not. It's affection. I want that. I want those words of validation. I want those words of affirmation from females, from women, from people of the opposite sex. I mean, do I get it from men, and is that cool? Yeah, but something hits, man. Something hits when you get it from women. And so when I'm hitting that cycle, I'm hitting that pattern, I'm engaging in that. And, I'm flirting, and I'm on apps, and I'm trying to get validation on social media, and it's gross. It's a gross addiction. So I always talk about my addictions, and I encourage you to really get in touch with your addictions. So where do I look to kind of change those up, right? This is something that I had to learn, because over the past couple of years with what happened, and what was said about me, as false as it was, I needed to really go through and change my patterns, because I left myself vulnerable by engaging with that many folks. I left myself vulnerable, and I was in a depressive state because of the intake, right? Because I would eat until I couldn't eat anymore, because that's how I tended to, I do suffer from an eating disorder, and that's how I tended to patch myself, was I would eat. You may not have experienced this because you may have normal eating behaviors. Imagine eating not until you're full, eating until you are in the harshest physical pain you could possibly be in from eating. And then I want you to think about eating another half meal. That's how much I used to eat. Okay. And then what I would have to do to subvert that is to fast for a day or two. Now imagine what that does to your body, right? So what do I do now? Well, I'm always very open about this. And if you're not a person of faith, that's dope. That's cool. It's good for you. I am. Church, prayer, almost every day. Reading the Bible, hitting up church every Sunday. If it's not in person, it's online. Sometimes, I'll be honest, I don't stop in the church for mass very often, because Something about the collectiveness of the church and the politics behind it get me a little unsettled. But I do like the atmosphere, and I love to just go sit and pray. So I'll do that, or I'll watch on TV. I am a part of a couple of professional and personal fraternities, so which I've joined more recently in my adult life. And those networks of men, without a doubt, are like, when I tell you, some of the most welcoming people you could ever possibly imagine. No judgment. They're here for you. And it's not that toxic. It's not that chauvinist. It's not that, manpower kind of thing. It really is a place in which you can be a better person. And that really does make me happy. I'll talk to my friends, male friends, female friends that are not romantic interests, right? I talk to my coach, who's also, she doesn't like when I call her my life coach, but in addition to the many roles that she plays, she coaches me. And I would imagine that I coach her, and I coach other people. I would imagine that I coach other people who maybe say I was coached by Christopher, but are also friends, right? And that's cool. I talk to my family. Family is an amazing, if you've got a supportive family, that's great. If you don't, here's the opportunity for you to build your own out of your friendships, out of your circles, out of your sports teams, out of your whatever, right? I haven't been going to therapy over the past couple months, and that's a problem, but definitely something that I want to be doing. I'll go see my trainer at the gym, or I hit up MMA, right? Or Taekwondo. Those communities, men and women too, those communities are spiritual. They're rigored. They are flexible in nature, but also structured, right? Those are the types of places that I like to be in, right? So now let's see what the experts have to say about men's mental health. Now, normally, I'll be honest, a lot of the websites that I tend to reference when I'm talking about relationships and dating and all that good stuff are like, womenshealth.com or, Maxim or relationship.dating.co, whatever. They're fine, but they may not be credible. I started to pull up some stuff from the APA, the American Psychological Association. Here are some stats that you may not know. 9% of men in the U.S. who have daily feelings of depression or anxiety, according to data from the National Health Interview Survey. So that's 9%. Okay. 1 in 3. The share of those men who took medication because of those feelings, according to that survey. 1 in 4. The share who spoke to a mental health professional, according to that survey. So I want to talk about this for a second. So 9%. So that's potentially 1 in 10 men daily are feeling depression or anxiety. That's daily. Only 1/3 of those folks are medicated. 1/4 of those folks are speaking to a professional. 30.6%, so that's almost 31%, that's almost 1/3 of the male population. The percentage of men who have suffered from a period of depression in their lifetime when measured by a gender-inclusive depression scale, so gender-inclusive, that includes symptoms such as rage, risk-taking, okay? All sorts of stuff like that. Now, this one's interesting. Men are 4 times more likely to commit suicide. To attempt suicide. No. I'm so sorry. They are 4 times more likely to succeed. Women attempt suicide more. Men succeed 4 times more. It is 4 times higher amongst men. I do apologize. It's like I didn't, sorry about that. 85. White men, I know, age 85 and older have the highest suicide rate of any demographic group in the U.S., 4 times larger than the population as a whole. 51 out of every 100,000 white males older than 85 commit suicide each year. More than any other group by age, sex, and race, according to 2012 statistics. So that's a big deal. That's from the APA, American Psychological Association. A couple of other ones that you may want to know. Okay, men die by suicide 3.5 to 4 times more than women. About 6 of every 10 men experience at least one trauma in their lives. Men are more likely to experience trauma related to accidents, physical assault, combat, disaster, or to witness death or injury. Men are almost 2 times more likely to binge drink than women. 49% of men feel more depressed than they admit to the people in their life. That is super, super important. That's from mindwise.org. That's a nonprofit. Okay, now let's talk about addiction for a second. Men have tolerant attitudes towards substance abuse. So men actually face addiction more, but they have more of a tolerance. Toxic masculinity makes men more vulnerable to peer pressure. We know that. Men are more likely to externalize their emotions, meaning their anger, their disappointment, their frustration. They're going to process those in a non-healthy way. It's a challenge for men. Men tend to have weaker social ties. We know that. Men are often reluctant to ask for help. So I think it's super important that we talk about this. And that's why Cece and I, we're not sure in what capacity it's going to be, but we are creating a men's network for men to talk to other men and to really talk about these things. Now, I was afraid to do this episode. It is a frightening statistic, Timmery. Thank you. I was afraid to do this episode for so long. I read that has to do with the ways they attempt versus the way women attempt. That could be true, Stacey. And we want to be aware always when we're reading a statistic about the correlational stuff is there's other factors, right? It could be that men are using more lethal ways, right? Women are doing things that are less lethal. Maybe it's pills, or I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, and I'm not going to speculate and get myself in trouble. I was afraid to do this episode for a lot of reasons. If you know me, you know my history. You know that I've been accused of being a chauvinist and all sorts of stuff, which is like, I can't even, like I cry, I cry watching like Criminal Intent when there's like an assault scene, like on a woman, like I cry. And so to hear that, like, these are the things that are being said about me. I have to laugh at this point. It's been over 2 years. I have to laugh. That's the length that people have gone to. But I made some mistakes, and you have to be accountable for them, and I have been. And I think that the best thing that I can do is hold other people accountable and hold myself accountable, and to fix the way that we view men's mental health. So I was afraid to do this episode because I think that in the year of 2021, we are so quick to cancel a man that says, I want to work on something like that. Because, we wonder about their ulterior motives or anything like that, I think when we take away the toxicity, we take away the chauvinism, we add some 2021 thinking in there, a safe space where it's okay to say and think these things, right? We add in confidence, integrity. Be confident in what you're about to say because you are genuinely trying to help yourself. I think that we can really make a difference. I think where we fall short is when we are not confident in our thinking, when we are afraid of saying those things, when we are afraid that maybe we don't have the best integrity, that we are vulnerable to letting those things attack us. And I think the first thing you need to do as a man before repeating those behaviors and those patterns, for me, be honest, my behaviors and patterns, overeating, overdating. And I wouldn't say over intimacy. I've gone on 2, 3, 4 dates before I'm intimate with someone. So if it gets to that point, it's usually something that I'm thinking about long term. But I love dating. I love the idea of going out and feeling wanted and wanting someone. It's detrimental to my time. It's detrimental to my wallet. People think I'm some baller. I'm an academic. Maybe at one point I was. It's detrimental to other people because you're getting out there and you're dating and you may not have the intention of being in a relationship, right? So those are my patterns that I tend to need to break. But as men, we need to break these patterns. And I think that what we need to start doing is speaking in a way that's safe, that's valued, that keeps us accountable, but also accountable to growth, not just accountable where we're ostracized or criticized or whatever, accountable to the point where we want to change, right? And I think that you'll find one thing that I was talking about the other day, and then let's close it out, biologically, let's talk biology for a second. And I hate to say this, it's an evolutionary thing, but because there are so many gender roles and gender fluidity, but women tend to be more focused nowadays on, well, yes and no. They have a lot of things that they're focused on because they've been forced to, right? The family dynamic has been broken. And so they are building their homes. Maybe they're single moms or they want to build a family and they don't have the resources to do that because men, to be quite honest, have been a little non-committal over the past decade. So they're working on their career. They're working on themselves, right? Men, from what I see out there, men are focused on one thing, And you know what that is, and that's women. And that's biology. I mean, it is. It's something that you have to constantly fight against, constantly focus, right? Manna says the terrible man-up mentality creates an unsafe environment for men to speak up and process trauma in a healthy way. Yes, 100%. I don't know if it was you, Manna, or I. That is the most inaccurate description of you. Thank you, Timmery. I appreciate that. I saw a meme the other day, and I don't know if it was you, Manna, that shared it or somebody else, but it was this guy kind of drowning in his emotions, drowning in his doubt, drowning in his fears, and all the things that he's drowning in. And he's got a hand up, and the hand's slowly sinking into the water, right? It's slowly sinking into the water. And all of a sudden you see another man with a ship coming out. And the guy's like, I got you. Man up. And I can't. I have to laugh because that's disgusting. But that's true, right? Men do not really talk about those things, and they need to. And they need to do that because what we didn't tend to do as men is we internalize, and then like a rubber band that has been twisted, we snap. And that is unhealthy. It is detrimental to ourselves, to those we love, to those we are trying to model for. God help me. And I mean that. God help me if I give birth, which you better believe that's what I pray for. I pray for a beautiful little boy because I was a womanizer for a couple of years, and I really don't want to have to deal with a daughter I'm going to have to kill anybody who comes to the door. But I want a young man that I can really teach some cool things to, that I can teach how to be a real stand-up dude. And God help me if they take on the impulses, the fear, the anger that I've displayed in my life. I have. Every man has. Every woman has. Men, I think, do it more because we don't have those proper outlets. We don't have the ways to really, truly express ourselves. And that's what we need to focus on post-pandemic, in my opinion. Look, it's gotten bad, okay? We've lost jobs. We've lost people. We've lost health. It's over. Your ego, your man-up mentality is gone, okay? It is time to get to the root of your accountable self, to build up from the ground, and to be better people. And if that means to be a better man, then absolutely. Thank you so much for joining me today. I think what we found out during today's episode is stop being such a man and be something better. I'm your host of The Barber Shop. My name is Dr. Christopher Sloot. I want to thank you so much for joining us here at WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Radio. You can join us here every Wednesday or every other Wednesday. We are going to be filling this time with more and more men-focused mental health stuff, dating, relationships, professionalism, personal stuff, physical health, all that good stuff. And we want to thank you so much for commenting. I want to thank you so much for being a part of my show. And I just want to thank you for growing and for being okay in a space that's not perfect. Because that's what we're here to be. Imperfect, and to grow and to learn. And that's what the Barbershop's all about. So with that, thank you so much. I'm Dr. Christopher Sloot. You've just watched The Barbershop. Cut.